Welcome to Are You Quizzing Me? I'm Vineet Nair with my co-host Aditya Kashyap. This is a quizzing trivia podcast show where we ask each other questions and share what we know and learn with you. Though in a quizzing format, it's not competitive. The questions are simply a way of sharing our love of trivia. So sit back, relax, and join us as we explore the depths of human knowledge. Here's the format. We ask each other questions alternatingly, as many as time permits, while giving as many clues as needed to help each other get to the answer. Let's get quizzing.
And we're back. It's another day, another episode, and Aditya and I are back for another round of quizzing. And to start off the proceedings, we have to first look back to last week and Aditya's question about synchronicity. So, Aditya, what is the answer to your question?
So I asked, what is that one thing which was, I have completely ruined what synchronicity means, but let me just twist it around for the sake of my answer. What is the one thing that was very unique and didn't fit in with the rest of Emperor Ashoka's life, which stood out in a weird way? It is this weird fact that, and you might not know this, Vineet, so take this as a moment of knowledge for you. Um, Emperor Ashoka did not have any speech impediment. He spoke fluently, properly in the tongue of the day, whatever it was. Yet, the one word that he always struggled to say in one go was Kalinga, which was the famous war. So he used to always say it instead of just saying Kalinga, he used to say Kalinga. And this was very well documented in the 2003 documentary Ashoka.
My God, man, you have outdone yourself. It's if Dante will arise from his grave, go back and add an addendum to the Divine Comedy with a separate level of hell just for you.
And that's where you would be entertained with jokes all day long. It should be some sort of very crude and violent
Yeah.
form of hell.
So,
Yes, that is
for
the answer
those
for this
who
week's.
are in the dark, I would suggest you go watch Santosh Shivan's classic flop, Ashoka, starring Shah Rukh Khan and Kareena Kapoor. That should give you all the context you need.
Oh, yes, that is my question for answer for the day. But let's move on to some useful trivia.
Yeah, not so useful as you may think. I think association with Aditya is not particularly helpful for my mental state because I also seem to be turning towards the absurd and slightly useless trivia. So, as with the past two episodes, I have another piece of trivia around which I am crafting what I will loosely call a quiz question. So, here goes. The Crimean War was fought from 1853 to 1856. Right. It was mainly between the Russians and the allied forces of the British, French, and the Turks. Now, the last veteran of this war died in 2004. How is this possible? Can you give me the funda?
In 2004.
Yes. That's roughly maybe 148 or 150 years after the war ended.
Was there a tortoise that was conscripted in the army?
You got that way too quickly. Yes, it was a
Oh, was
tortoise. Yes, it was the mascot of the HMS Queen during the Crimean War, a tortoise named Timothy. After surviving the Crimean War and another couple of tours as various ships' mascot, Timothy eventually retired to a castle in England in 1935, where they lived until dying in 2004.
Lovely. Well, good for Timothy.
Yeah. You got that way too quickly. I should go for more absurdity with my questions now, going forward.
If it was not a tortoise, I was gonna have to guess something like, was it a tree? that was conscripted in the war for some reason. Did they conscript a plant by any chance? Okay, great. That was a fun little question. Okay, you know what? Since we started off on this whimsical note, I have this lovely piece of trivia. So in 2018, in early
Okay.
2018, so this is January and February of 2018,
Mm-hmm.
KFC ran out of chicken in the UK,
Okay.
specifically in and around London. So they ran out of chicken, which meant that they had to shut down a lot of their restaurants, and this led to a lot of embarrassment, obviously, for a food chain which is known for the chicken. Not have chicken was very embarrassing. So they printed ads in major English newspapers apologizing to their customers. What is that one cheeky way that KFC decided to apologize? There's a little cheeky, little whimsical way that KFC decided to apologize for this
Okay.
mishap.
Something to do with their logo. They have a tagline, right? Finger licking good. So is it something like uh, finger missing? No.
No,
Oh,
it's
that's just
it's
silly.
that's
That's
a
just
funny
silly.
little. No, it is silly. What they did was also pretty silly, and you are not too far off, but it doesn't have to do with the tagline.
Missing. Did they put up like a missing poster or something?
No,
No.
no,
No,
it
but they're
wasn't. It
apologizing.
is.
They try.
Yeah, they're apologizing and think because I said you were very close. Think very close to their branding itself. So not their tagline, but
So their branding, the branding classical is they don't have anything other. They just say KFC. KFC is KFC. Just three letters. KFC.
very well done. Yes, yes, yes. You're very close. You're almost there.
What? They what
It is the three
Kentucky Fried
letters,
Chicken,
but
KFC.
think anagram. Think anagram.
The anagram. So then KFC. K. Okay. Okay. You said anagram. So that's the only reason I'm going to say this on a podcast live. But they, oh, FCK as in uh,
Eh, So it is the picture of the classic
with a
KFC
star.
bucket. They
Uh-huh.
actually did put a star. So it is a picture of the classic KFC bucket, but instead of saying
Okay.
KFC on it, it says FCK, which is basically
Oh
how they
my
messed up.
God.
They effed up. And well, good for them because FCK doesn't even need to be censored, so they could print it in a newspaper as well.
Oh.
So two of the major, I believe it's the Sun and the Herald, which are the
Uh-huh.
newspapers that carried this apology, which was just the KFC bucket, and it said FCK and
That's not much of an
apologized for.
apology, frankly.
No, but I mean, the rest of it was also an apology where they did say
Yeah,
that,
okay. I mean,
oh, maybe we
maybe
shouldn't
more
have
of
this.
an admit rather than apology.
Yeah, it's another way of just saying, oops, oops, we
Oops,
shouldn't
yes.
have
Oops, we
messed
did
up
it
like this.
again. Okay, that was a nice question. Okay, let me stick with somewhere in the UK. Sports related. Okay, this is also somewhat a little silly. So, located in a shopping complex in Merseyside, London Everton Football Club. I don't know if you're a big football fan, but Everton is a football team, I'm guessing.
I know of
uh,
them, so I'm not a big
yes,
fan, but
you
I
know.
know of them.
Great. That makes it easier for me. So, the London Everton Football Club has a flagship store through which it sells its club merchandise. Okay. And this particular store has a very nonsensical sounding name, Everton Two, as in TWO, two.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
So let me just replace this, replay the question again. There's a shopping complex in Merseyside, London, Merseyside, where the London Everton Football Club's flagship store is present, and that particular store has the name Everton Two. Do you know why they called the store Everton Two? The store is in Merseyside. It's northwest England.
And they call it Everton Two,
Yes.
Everton One. Everton One. I don't know. I can't think of anything. Was it to do with it's a football club, right? So
It's a football club. Everton's a football club. Those flagship store sells their merchandise.
was Everton the jersey number one, or Everton One reserved for some star player or something?
No, no, no. Let me just put it this
Okay.
way. Merseyside
Mm-hmm.
is home to a very big city that you may have heard of, which also would have a little bit, they would obviously be important or pertinent to this question.
They have a big city, and I'm thinking if you're saying city and football, then I'm assuming it can be any of Manchester and Liverpool and Chelsea. Hmm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, you got that somewhere right.
Um, is there is there another football club called Everton? That would be my very
No, not particularly.
okay.
Okay, let me just, I'll give you
Uh,
this as well. Merseyside is a county which houses the city of Liverpool.
okay.
Okay, now try and
Mm,
guess as to why they would name their store Everton 2 in a shopping complex in Merseyside.
I don't know. Again, this might be have to do with anything to do with, like, say, the nicknames that all these British English football clubs have, and I am not enough of a fan
No,
to
no,
know
no.
these. But
You're getting a
does
little cold
Liverpool?
there. This is a little more obvious, a little more cheeky. Let's just say it's in your face.
Everton Two. Oh, have they had some very decisive victory over Liverpool where they won 2-0 or something?
No, I'm not a big enough fan to tell you if they have done it, but then that is definitely their intention. But you'll have to be a little, you have to get that last part. It's not easy to get.
Okay.
One of my sillier questions, but
Everton Two. This in their face-off, they're leading 2-0. Like in their Liverpool Everton matches, they won two of their.
no, 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 no. Okay,
No.
so I'll give you one last clue. Think
Okay.
what could possibly be the name of the shopping complex?
Oh, Liverpool won. Is it or
Yes.
something like that? Is it?
Yes, yes. So the name of the shopping
Oh,
complex is Liverpool One. So I'll so the address where technically becomes Everton Two, Liverpool One.
Liverpool won. Oh, but that is so cool. I love it. Oh,
Okay.
lovely.
So the two teams, separated by Stanley Park, have enjoyed a fierce but friendly rivalry for more than a century. The Everton team has two superstores in the city centre, namely Everton 1 and Everton 2, which is perfectly normal until you realize where the second store is located. It's inside one of the biggest shopping malls called Liverpool 1. So the store's full address is Everton 2, Liverpool 1.
Oh, that is so brilliant. That is so brilliant. I do wonder how they have fared against Liverpool, though, because at some point this just becomes a humiliating joke if you haven't actually scored those many goals against Liverpool.
True, true. I would actually have to phone a friend to get those kind of details because, as we've mentioned on this
Yeah,
podcast before, I'm not a sports person.
fair enough. But this is a lovely sports trivia. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Well, since we are speaking of sports, let's move to a parallel sort of category. This is to do with games. Um, so, what that we consider universal today
Hmm.
wasn't so common back in the 17th century. In the and I'm starting vague, and of course, as usual, we'll give you more clues. Um, in this category of sport and games, rather category of games, that became common or universal, thanks to, amongst other things, thanks to the French Revolution in Europe. So in Europe, this became more widely adopted in the field of games thanks to the French Revolution, and today would be
Okay.
considered almost common factor.
We're talking games, right?
Yeah, games,
Not sports.
not sports. No,
Okay. Anything to do with chess? Chess pieces?
not chess. No, no.
No. Okay. Mm, the French Revolution. So, um, hmm, hmm. Is it something to do with scoring? The terminology used for scoring, like in tennis, you say
No,
15
so
love
that that
instead of.
that would be sports. So no, it isn't sports.
Yeah, it is
Let
in
me give you
sports. Yeah.
games. Games
Yeah.
is very very vague and wide a category. So let me just be more specific, and hopefully this will lead you to the answer. Playing cards.
Oh, playing cards. Okay, the French playing the suits on the playing cards. The
No,
one of the
no,
specific the kings has a sword on next to his. I think it's a
no, no,
king
no,
of.
no, no, no.
No, not that.
It's
Okay.
King Louis, but no, that's not the thing that I'm looking for.
Okay. No, but now that you mention it, playing cards are they do have a French origin technically. The
Well, there
current
were
way.
versions of playing cards all over the world.
Yeah, yeah. No, but the current version that we
In
have, I think the late is mostly of French persuasion, if I remember correctly.
perhaps European, yeah, more European than
Is it the 52
non-European.
cards, the two jokers or something?
No, no, it isn't.
No.
All of these have
So
wonderful trivia
then,
attached, by the way, that I may or may not ask in future podcasts. But for now, let me
okay,
stick to.
okay. Um,
I did a deep dive, as you can tell, in playing cards recently, so I found it
yeah.
out.
Okay. No, I'm thinking it's not to do with the representations of the different suits, right? As
No, no.
in, no. Okay, so no.
Okay, let me lead you a bit closer. Think order.
Oh, so the ace comes higher. Ace
That's right.
basically, yeah. So yeah, the
Is
ace,
high. So
ace high,
historically, king was the highest card,
highest.
and the French
Okay.
Revolution, as they got rid of the king,
The knave became
they
higher than the king.
they became higher than the king. They actually, so it gained popularity. It wasn't something that was originated in during the French Revolution per se, but it definitely gained a lot more popularity during games from that era because of the fact that they wanted to establish that the ace can be higher and more powerful than the king.
I
And
wonder
the
if
French.
the ace of spades is the topmost because the person who was burying the kings is the one on top.
Oof, oof. That is dark. That
That
is
went
dark.
dark.
Okay, so let me ask one more piece of trivia, and I
Yes,
asked this as a
please.
conjunction simply because I could not verify this. So, if any of our listeners can help me find any, but I've heard it from a source that I think is credible enough. I just could not
Okay.
independently verify it. So, if any listener
Okay.
can help me out, I would be very grateful. Please reach us out to our social media. All right. So, this particular trivia has to do less with the French, but with another European power. And
Okay.
it affected playing cards in starting in 19th century. And again,
Okay.
we are talking order. So, okay, let me rephrase that. Connect the order of cards and the importance of cards to another European nation and something that happened a couple of times since the 19th, 18th century.
Okay. Another European nation, not France, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
19th century. Let's say 19th century. Okay, 19th century would be more
19th
accurate.
century, we need the 1800s.
Yeah, so
So,
from the around early 1800s till actually, not that it makes any difference anymore,
okay.
but till very recently. Okay, now this is probably a bit misleading because of the way I'm phrasing it, but once you know the answer, it will make a lot more sense.
Okay, okay. No, no, I'm just trying to remember like the 1800s were very, very, how do I put this?
There was a lot happening. There was a lot
Eventful.
happening in Europe.
There was a
Yeah, yeah,
lot
yeah.
happening. So
Okay,
if I
so
start off, I would go with Napoleon, but that's again
okay,
France.
so it's not French. It's not French.
It's not French. Then I would go with the Great Game. That would be Russia and
Not Russia
Britain.
either. Okay,
Okay.
you're getting close. You're getting close. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I just said the Great Game. The Great Game was Russia and Britain, so then
So
it'll be
not
Britain.
Russia, but
But it'll be
yes.
Britain. It'll be Britain. It'll be England. More likely.
Uh
So
huh. Uh huh.
the English, is it the order of the suits, as in hearts? I mean, like I
Not the
don't
order
know
of the
the
suits. No,
no, okay,
no,
not
not
the
the
order of
order
the
of the
suits.
suits.
Oh wait, was it? Yeah, okay. So okay. This is a guess. I would say that this came somewhere in the mid eight, maybe 1840, 1845, and then lasted till around 2021. No, with a gap of around 50 years in between.
You are probably close. Yes, I think you know what the answer is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically, Queen High rather than King.
You're right. So it probably hasn't changed much in the recent past. Nobody really
Okay.
cared about who the British monarch is to decide how you're to play your card games. But
Yeah.
it apparently, and again, this is what I have not been able to verify, though I love this beautiful, juicy piece of trivia. 18, let me quickly check this. 1819 is when Queen Victoria was born, and then mid 18, when was she?
She was
When did she become?
crowned 1830s,
37.
1840s.
1837. Yes,
37,
you're
yeah.
right. 1837. So she reigned for quite a while. And then, of course, there were some men who
Yes,
became the king. And then
George,
Victoria came
Edward,
back.
George again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it basically meant that when there was a king on the throne, the king was the highest card on the deck. And when there was a queen on the
Oh,
throne, queen was higher card. So king and queen would change based on who was the reigning monarch, and this would be true for uh, the UK and maybe the Commonwealth. Maybe not world
okay.
over, but at least in the UK and the Commonwealth, this used to be a practice that the order of the cards would
Oh.
change based on who was the reigning monarch.
So it's something
And
like, their anthem changes from God Save the King to God
God
Save the
save the king to
Queen.
God save the queen. Exactly, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
the same
So
way. Oh, nice.
again, so now that Charles is the new king,
George.
it can go back. It can go back to being the king. But then again, I don't think anybody anymore cares about worrying about who's sitting on
I
the
was a
throne.
little surprised, not surprised technically. I mean, like his name is Charles after all, but he could have chosen a different moniker when he became king, because traditionally Charles hasn't been very lucky for English monarchs.
Ah, okay. Fair, fair, fair.
I think only one
Interesting.
English monarch has ever been executed, and that was the Charles. That was Charles the Second, not Charles the
We
First, Charles the Second. I don't
we will
remember
fact check
during
that. We will fact check.
yeah, yeah, no, but I think, yeah, if I remember correctly, after the Norman invasion, there was
Mm-hmm.
been only one English monarch who was executed by his own people.
Oh,
Regicide,
okay.
I think, is the term, the official term for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And he chose that of all. Like Henry would have been a better choice, frankly speaking. No, seriously. I mean,
Well,
like some of
Charles
the
is we
Plantagenets were,
have
you know, or even Richard. Like he would have been what Richard?
hon-
Yeah.
honestly, he should have just given up his throne to a woman because at this point, women have had a much better success rate on the throne than men have had.
Oh, seriously,
So,
Elizabeth was, my God, she's like the longest reigning monarch in the British history, right? She
in
was the
world
longest
history,
reigning.
in world
No, but
history.
I think I think if I remember correctly, and this you will have to fact check, but there was this monarch from Swaziland who
Mm-hmm.
became king when he was a few months old, and then I think reigned for until he was 60 or 70 or something like that. So
Okay,
you
I will check
just might
that.
want to
I will
check
check
that,
that.
because yeah, if I remember reading somewhere about this guy from Swaziland.
Okay,
So yeah.
interesting.
No, but there are a lot of the British royal family is chock full of questions. Okay, so that was a great question. That was a great question. Okay, I have a question that I think will stump you a little bit, but you'll be able to work this out. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
According to a Times of India article, at
Okay.
least 12 children from Hyderabad and surrounding areas lost eyesight in one eye in the first 40 odd days of the first coronavirus lockdown. Hospitals in the city reported around 25 such injuries, both blunt and piercing. Dr. Subhadra Jalali, director of the Retina Institute, said, for about 15 years, we did not see these injuries, but the numbers are starting to rise again. What was the reason for these injuries cropping up in such numbers after so many years and during the lockdown of all times?
Oh, this is an injury, so it wasn't a disease.
No, it's not a disease. So let me just put it again. So around 12 children, this is according to Times of India, around 12 children from Hyderabad and surrounding areas lost eyesight in one eye. Okay.
Hmm.
And the hospitals reported around 25 such injuries, which some of which led to loss of eyesight. All of this during the first 40 odd days of the coronavirus lockdown, the first lockdown. We're talking, I think, March 2020, right? March, April 2020. And one of the experts, the director of the Retina Institute, said that for about 15 years we haven't seen these injuries, but now they're starting to rise up again. Can you tell me the reason for these injuries cropping up in such numbers?
Oh, interesting. Because when you said eyes and during COVID, I was thinking of there was this thing called black fungus or something.
Yes, good thing, but no, not this. No, this was most exclusively with children, and this is injury based, not a
Not
complication in
disease based.
treatment.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
First 40 days. Oh man, this is gonna sound really, really sad, but it didn't have anything to do with. They were doing a light display to show their support for
No, no,
the
no, no,
frontline workers.
no, no,
Okay,
no,
so I thought like they used a firecracker inside the house or something. Okay.
no.
What else happened during COVID? Kids suddenly had to be online a lot.
No, not particularly.
Okay,
You want a
that won't be
clue?
an injury. That won't be an injury. Yeah, please.
Okay. So think, what did we all turn to during the lockdown? And a lot of people turn to something certain. Let's say, think of what kind of programming was available during the lockdown.
TikTok became popular.
Let's say,
Squid Game
let's
became
stick with.
popular.
Okay, so what kind of what other kind of programming? Couple of
Something like Squid
shows
Game.
became some of the most watched in the world because of
Tiger King. Tiger King.
no, 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 no. Actually, I think these had bigger numbers.
Okay. Is it a Netflix show?
No.
Oh, okay. Wow, I can't think of. So you something's not been for 15 years. So that means they were watching reruns or something.
Yes, that's a
That
very
was
good
on 15
guess.
years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
15 years ago. So that would be 2008. Something ended in
Okay, let me just
2008.
give you one more clue. Let me give you one more clue. On April 16th, okay, a record was set by this particular piece of programming.
Piece of programming. That's a very interesting choice of words. So is
No,
it
no,
not
I'm
a
just,
movie or a TV show?
don't read too much into it.
Okay. So I'm trying to think of something that ended in 2008 and was
I
resurrected.
wouldn't,
No,
I
what?
wouldn't
Sorry,
go, I wouldn't
2001,
go
right?
that specific. I wouldn't go that
Okay.
specific.
Okay, so let's say early 2000s it ended and people started
I wouldn't do
rewatching
that.
it.
I wouldn't go there.
Not even that, not even that. Okay. Because the 15-year thing threw me off a little bit. I'm trying to think of any fiction show with an eye patch. Some pirate show. I can't think of something.
No. Okay, I'll just give you a clue. On say 16th April, the telecast of this show had 77 million viewers worldwide, making it the most viewed episode of TV ever, or something like that. This is what appeared on the news. But this was actually this was a what do you call it? How do I put this? This was a tweet that had come up. It's actually not a world record, but this was a tweet that came at that time saying that it is the most viewed. The actual most viewed was the what do you call it? The season finale of series finale of MASH, which are
Smash series
106,
finale.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 106 million views. But there was a tweet saying that, oh my God, this is the most viewed TV program ever, but it's not actually. But
Well,
yeah, so
technically, the
this
most
is
viewed TV program ever is the World Series final, I believe. But non-sporting event, I think, is MASH.
MASH, yeah.
I'm sure even your world now, it must be FIFA World Cup and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything which was, and this is India specific, 77 million. Oh, okay, but I was not in India during COVID, so I'm going to use that as an excuse, but I don't know what it is. So yeah,
Okay, let me just give you
what
another
is it?
clue. When this
Yeah.
show was first aired,
Mhm.
in India, we didn't have exact figures, but it actually was able to bring the nation to a standstill. And it is estimated now that around 100 million viewers watched each and every episode. So it's quite possible that almost every episode of this
Oh,
show has
okay.
broken
I know
records.
this. I know this. Is it? I know people who are watching Mahabharata, so they're playing with the bow and arrow or something.
Yes, so this is actually Ramayan and
Oh,
Mahabharata.
sorry,
So DD
Ramayana.
retelecasted
Ramayana.
Ramayan, and
Right.
yeah, so children started playing with homemade bows and arrows fashioned out of broomsticks, and this turned
Oh
out to be enough of a
no.
problem that it actually, eye institutes actually started noticing the fact that they're having a spate of such injuries.
Oh boy, oh no. That's so cute though. I mean, it's very sad that they lost their eyesight, but well, children do stupid things, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lovely piece of trivia though.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, just a
Okay.
little bit of trivia about Ramayan itself.
Hmm.
It was a 1987 to 88 series made by Ramanand Sagar. At the time, DD was the
Mhm.
only DD or Doordarshan for our non Indian viewers. Was the state-run channel of the of India, and
Mhm.
it was immensely popular. The telecast of the episodes would bring the nation to a standstill, and even though the it looks quite dated nowadays. When DD re-aired it, retelecasted it during the lockdown, it got a lot of viewership. So, just to give you an idea about how it affected DD's viewership, from in the second half of January 2022, DD's viewership was 9 million. Okay, it was
Okay.
9 million in the second half of January 2020. In the last week of March, it went to 545 million from just
Wow.
one show. Yeah.
That's great. Hmm.
So that's
Game
the
of
cause
Thrones
of
ain't
the
got
eye
anything
injury.
on Ramayana, Mahabharata.
No, no. I don't. I think it's very difficult for shows to achieve what maybe the record Mash said or what Ramayana did because
Hmm.
there's a lot more programming
Of course, of
available.
course.
So people's
This would be
attentions get diverted.
this would be a fun piece of trivia, except that I know it's an urban legend. But when the I'm so sorry, when the MASH finale was aired, there is this urban legend which goes that in between there was a sudden shortage of water because when there was an ad break, apparently
Everybody went to the loo at the same
a
time.
third or half of US went to pee together. So suddenly the major cities ran out of water in between, which is not true, but it's such a funny thing to have happened that everybody went to pee together because it was an ad break. Yeah. So
The
okay,
only show I
moving
think
on.
which ever had a chance of breaking that record was Friends, and if the Friends didn't manage it, I don't think anybody else will.
Friends was pretty high though. Like I think it was
No, but it
50s.
didn't. It didn't break Mash's record.
Oh, no, no, it didn't. No, no, it didn't. It didn't. But yeah,
Neither
it
did
was pretty high.
Seinfeld,
Anyways. No,
and
neither did
Seinfeld
Seinfeld.
went out on
No.
a high.
Oh well, it's just the privilege of having so much more content that nobody's gonna watch the same content as the rest of the world anymore.
Yeah, true.
All
Okay,
right.
your turn.
My turn. Okay, so Will Wright, this
Mm-hmm.
American, was caught in a firestorm in 1991 in Oakland. He
Okay.
was inspired because he lost his home during that firestorm, unfortunately, and had to rebuild his life. And this inspired him
Okay.
to create something. What did he
Okay.
create from this tragedy? What came out of this tragedy in his life?
What time frame is this? Which year?
1991 is when the firestorm happened.
Okay.
The Okay, I think this is too vague. So I gave this only because in case you knew who Will Wright was, you would have gotten it right off the bat. But I'm assuming
No,
you
no, I
don't.
don't
So let me tell
remember.
you, he's a game designer, and what he designed was released in 2000.
In 2000,
Hmm.
my grasp of gaming history is not so great, but
Mhm.
2000, what was big in 2000s?
Think also based off the tragedy in his life, so that inspired him because
He
he
lost a
lost his
house.
home and he had to rebuild due to a firestorm, and that
Is this
inspired
something
him
to
to
do
create.
with Minecraft or
Very close, very, very
Sims?
close. Sims is the answer. Brilliant,
Oh,
Vineet, as always.
really?
It is the Sims, yes.
Total
That
shot in
was
the
a
dark.
wonderful.
No, you were talking
Oh no,
building
no, that was
houses. I was thinking of that. That's just it.
that
Okay.
was a very smart guess.
Seriously?
You can take credit for that. Yes, Will Wright was a game designer, and he was inspired to
Okay.
create a virtual doll house because he lost his home and he was subsequently rebuilding his life. He has also claimed and that The Sims was meant to be also a satire on the US consumer culture. So
Oh,
this was partially his motivation as well. So that's
okay.
how the Sims game came to be in 2000, and 2000 was when the first one was launched, and since then it has
Oh,
been
okay.
pretty
Okay.
iconic. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
franchise has sold nearly
Okay.
200 million copies worldwide, and it is one of the best-selling video game series of all time.
Yes, yes, I am aware. This is wow. I had no clue of forest fire.
Firestorm, yeah, yeah.
Firestorm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Let me give you something. I'm not going to tell you in what this is relation to, but I'm going to read you a quote with two blanked out portions. You have to tell me
Okay,
what is inspired from what I have blanked out.
okay,
Okay. And I'll also tell you the source. Okay. That this particular piece of text I'm about to read you appeared with a date of May 8th, 1793 in the collection of decrees made by the French National Convention.
okay,
Okay, so I'm going to read it out to you and I will blank out the portions that are important or that perform the question basically. The people's representatives will reach their decision invested with the highest confidence and unlimited power. They will show great character. They must consider that blank follows inseparably from blank. To their energy, to their courage, and above all, their prudence, they shall owe their success and their glory. The blanked out portions form a quote that is very well known throughout the world, but not many people might realize that This is where it may have come from. I don't have absolute proof that this is where it is from, but this is the earliest source of a phrase with that same meaning.
This sounds
Do you want
very
me to read that
familiar,
portion
and
again?
it sounds so familiar. I've heard this before. I don't know where, but yes, I am
Okay.
I'm struggling right now. Yeah, please read it again.
I'll read it again. I'll read just that portion again. Forget everything else. Just concentrate on the text I'm reading. The people's representatives will reach their destination, invested with the highest confidence and unlimited power. They will show great character. They must consider that blank follows inseparably from blank. To their energy, to their courage, and above all their prudence, they shall owe their success and glory.
Something follows inseparably from something.
Yes.
And this is a very common quote now, a very common
Now
known
it's
phrase.
a it's a it's a quote that is known everywhere. Like children know it, even a lot of adults know
Is
it.
it in exactly the same wording, or has the wording
No, but
evolved
the
a bit?
meaning, yeah, but you would recognize the two operative phrases or operative portions
Right.
which have been blanked out.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds very familiar, but I'm kind of blanking out right now. So help me figure out the
Yeah,
blanks.
so
Give
I
me a clue.
would
Give me a clue.
suggest you go towards pop culture, specifically
Uh,
towards certain comic book characters.
oh, is it
I
with
can see it,
great
you
power
got it.
comes great responsibility?
Yes, it is. From great power comes great responsibility. The original
Nice,
phrase is they must consider that great responsibility follows inseparably from great power.
nice. And who is this quote by?
No, it's we don't know who it is by. It's part of a collection of decrees made by the French National Convention in 1793. So we are guessing
Okay.
there'll be more than one author when it comes to these
I
kind of
see.
documents.
Right. Okay, nice. A lovely piece of trivia. Okay.
Yeah. Your turn.
This is a fun little piece of trivia that I found out recently. So, have you heard
Okay.
of the restaurant Denny's?
Denny's.
It's a
I am.
diner style restaurant chain in the
Yes,
US.
I have heard the name, but I wouldn't know too much more about it. It's one of those things
Okay.
you've heard it
So it's
and that's
just,
it.
yeah, so it's originally was a coffee shop, and then they started serving
Okay.
breakfast, lunch, dinner 24 hours a
Okay.
day. It's a diner
Okay.
style chain that is present in the US. Okay.
US, right. Okay.
In 1988, on Christmas, they decided to give their employees an off. What issue did they face though when they decided to do this?
They decided to give a day off to their employees on Christmas, right?
Mhm.
And what did they face because of that? Oh. Um, um, I don't know. You'll have to give me a clue here. I can't think
This
of
is
anything right now.
this is one of those trivia that you know or you don't know. I don't know how to lead you to it, but
Okay.
it's a fun little piece of trivia regardless. So
Okay.
okay, they were a 24 hours restaurant, 7 days a week.
Okay.
And technically, on Christmas 1988, when they decided to give their employees off, it was one of the first times ever. So, what could possibly happen? What could be an issue that they might possibly face?
And this was the first time they ever gave an off.
The first time that the the restaurant was not operational, rather.
Okay. First time that the restaurant was
Yeah.
not operational. Wow.
Yeah.
I said it's a 24-hour restaurant.
Yeah.
They didn't know when to shut down, whether it's to be shut down at 12 o'clock and go shut down at 5 o'clock in the morning, open at what time, because it's 24 hours. I have no clue. No.
Something even more fundamental, actually.
Okay. What is more fundamental than that? Okay. Nope, yeah, you'll have to give me a clue here. I'm just
Okay, this one's a bit
groping
tough.
around in the
Okay,
dark.
let me just tell you though, this is a fun. So none of this is relevant to the answer itself, as in it won't lead you to the answer. But this is just fun
Okay.
information surrounding it. Okay, so by
Okay.
1981, they had already had 1,000 restaurants. So by 1988, they definitely had a lot more. And
Okay.
when they shut down on Christmas 1988, all but six of them, so whatever 1,000 plus restaurants they had, only six of them were still operational on Christmas 1988, but the rest of them shut
Okay.
down. Okay, now none of this will lead you to the answer, but just imagine a diner which has never closed. It is operational 365 days, 24 hours a day, every day of the week. What issue would they have if they tried to close the restaurant?
Did they not have doors to close?
Very close. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Many of the
Wait,
restaurants
what?
did not have locks. Many of the restaurants did not have locks on them. So more
Are
than
you kidding
700,
me?
more than 700 restaurants had to be outfitted with locks because they did not have a lock that was functional in the restaurant, just so they could be shut down, which I think
You
is
kept saying
it's just
they
shut
couldn't
down.
close, they couldn't close. I was like, maybe they didn't have doors that they couldn't close.
Literally, they could not close because they did not have locks. So around 700 of them
Wow.
had to be outfitted with locks. A bunch of them had lost their keys, so they had to get new locks for those because this particular
Wow.
chain was never ever shut down, so they didn't have locks.
Wow. Now
That's
that yeah, that's a first world problem if you've ever heard one. Okay. So I think we are out of time for today.
yeah.
We are right. So Aditya, do you have a question before we wind up?
I do, yeah. I'm gonna use one of your questions.
Doesn't matter. You could make up. You'll make up from anything. Then remember,
Hey, Vineet.
10 circle of hell. 10 circle of hell.
Okay, you know what? I'll use one of my questions. So, of course, KFC apologized by using the explicit term FCK when they had to apologize
Hmm.
for what they did. How would I'm going to say Chayos apologize the day they ran out of chai? Tea
Oh God.
leaves being out at Chayos, how would they apologize? And that is a question that we
Okay.
shall answer in our next episode.
Yeah, I shudder to think what your brain will come up as an answer for that. But that's all for this episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. I hope you enjoyed the show and you hope you learned something new, no matter how silly we were. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to our podcast. Leave us a review on your podcast platform, wherever you're listening to us right now. This will help us we reach a wider audience and allow more people to discover and enjoy the show. If you're listening on Spotify, please note that there's a question that comes with every one of our episodes asking you to give us feedback on the episode. So please be frank, brutally so. We would also love to hear from you in other ways, feedback, suggestions, trivia, sponsorship questions that you want featured on the show. You can reach us on Instagram at Are You Quizzing Me? We appreciate your support and look forward to sharing more episodes with you in the future. Aditya will be back with the fact check after the musical sting. So that's all from me. And
Thank you,
Aditya
everybody.
seems to be
See you
having
next
some
week.
feline trouble right now. He will be back
Yeah.
after taking care of this quite cute cat, which seems to be troubling him
there
right
is
now.
there is a there's a cat in the frame. Yes, but thank you so much, everybody. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
And here's the fact check for the episode. In spite of her name, Timothy, the last survivor of the Crimean War, was female. Determining the sex of tortoises was not properly known in the 19th century. The KFC apology message for the chicken shortage in 2018 was printed in The Sun and Metro. Everton has defeated Liverpool 2-0 on multiple occasions, the latest being on 20th February 2021 in the Premier League. The longest reigning monarch of a dependent or sovereign state was Sobhuza II, who ruled for slightly more than 82.5 years. Eswatini, or then known as Swaziland, was under his reign and was a British protectorate for a long time. The longest reigning monarch of a sovereign state was Louis XIV, who ruled for slightly more than 72 years. Queen Elizabeth II falls second on that list with 70.5 years. Although global TV viewership numbers are unreliable, it is generally accepted that the most widely watched events worldwide are international sporting events such as the Summer Olympic Games, FIFA World Cup, and Formula One. And that's all for the fact check.